Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Morning Garden. I'm here to tell you that I just finished coming from my little greenhouse, and what is taking place in there is that I put in all of my herbs, full of 7 different herbs tonight. Everything from purple basil to sweet basil, thyme, oregano. List goes on and on. But I did do that because I want to be ready when the weather breaks. Forget about all of this stuff that we're dealing with today. Some of it's out of our control. You do what you can to stay safe. You do what you can to stay positive. That's very important. So here's what we're going to do, folks. I said this the early part of this year. Make certain that you keep your garden prepared so that you know that it's ready for the new year, 2020.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Morning Gardener. Had a rough week this week. My garden is in jeopardy of being gone, so to speak. Someone in the neighborhood called in and said that my garden was weeds and grass, tall grass. This is the Morning Gardener. I put a video up asking people how much did you spend on your garden, and it got a great response, and I do appreciate that from everyone. But while I was leaving work today, a young lady asked me a good question. She said, I saw your videos online. Why do you garden? And I said, that would be a good question I'd like to ask some of you out there. Do you garden simply because you enjoy it? Or do you garden for food? Or do you garden to save money? Or do you garden because you like seeing things grow?
Guess what?
I'm it, huh?
You're on.
I wasn't paying any attention tonight. God, my hair is sticking up everywhere. I took my clip out. Hey, everybody. I'm not even ready. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. We did. We had Kaylee here this weekend. And what did we make? Kaylee made banana bread in a cast iron skillet yesterday. She painted rocks. We painted jars.
You did some tacos.
Oh, yes, that's right. She helped make tacos and chaffles yesterday morning.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I hope she's one of the ones that comes back on Wednesday with Anthony. So we're growing. We have 35 in the chat now. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend, a safe weekend. You're all still washing your hands, right? Oh, shush, Nathan. Your hair and Daryl's hair always sticks up, right? At least I still have some. Not as much as I used to before May, but I still have some. Week 2 of lockdown. Yeah, all we need are bars on the windows, But, what the heck?
Well, we've had enough rain here that you can't go out and do anything anyway.
Yeah, it started raining again. Jessica, is it raining down where you are? Daryl's got to continue making the ark. Thank goodness he made one for our grandson in Columbus, so he already has one. Yeah. Your hands are chapped. I'm telling you. I wonder if mine are wrinkled because of all the water I'm using. Oh, so we have a gardener on tonight. A morning gardener, not an evening gardener, not an afternoon gardener.
Does that mean that?
But a morning gardener.
Does that mean he doesn't garden at night?
I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
You think?
He's a morning person, so he does his gardening in the morning.
I see.
Yeah. It's hard to do it at night if you don't have any lights out in the garden.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he has an interesting story. He's been on YouTube for 10 years. A long time YouTuber.
Hey, Max.
Yeah, I'd like to just say just a couple things about him here. Been on YouTube for over 10 years, and has put out a lot of very interesting videos. I mean, he was kind of a proponent of the wood chips even prior to the Garden of Eden films and things where it made it really popular. And you'll see some of that stuff if you look through his channel. Not only is he a proponent of different gardening techniques, but he also talks about building the soil. He talks about different ways to do it, and he talks about economy, ways to save money. So I think you all have a lot to ask him about tonight.
Yeah, a good channel for our folks to check out.
Now he's not as popular as some, but that doesn't mean that
we may need to change that.
Yeah, we're going to try to change that a little bit here tonight. So anyway, are you ready to introduce him?
I'm ready to get out in the garden also. Maybe we can find some lizards this year. What do you think?
You ready?
Yeah, I have to get my muck boots on. Yeah.
Get your muck boots on.
Well, in our garden.
Okay, folks, and here is the Morning Gardener. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. I'm the Morning Gardener. It's very nice to have this opportunity to speak with you today.
So,
and we already had a question for him.
Oh, go ahead.
Vicky T is asking, what are you growing this year?
Oh, well, let's see. Actually, I have a number of things growing indoors. I like to do what they call bulk planting. I simply, if I'm going to do tomatoes, I'll do 15 or 20 plants, and then I'll pick the biggest plants or the healthiest plants, and it's just a better way of doing it because you can never get that time back. So I have tomatoes, okra growing. I have a number of different herbs, sweet basil, purple basil. God, it's just so much. It's just so many different types of peppers I also grew because I like to grow peppers because they're pretty expensive when you go to the market. But if you grow them for yourself, you can move all that cost aside and actually get a very good, healthy piece of fruit that's full of nutrition.
You can't hear?
No.
So are you growing anything new this year?
Let's see. The only thing new I'm growing is there are some herbs that I'm growing, which is one of them is common thyme. I had some people at work ask me would I do some herbs, and I said I'll do some herbs and make sure I get that to you because they enjoy cooking with herbs, and also they can be pretty expensive in the market. And I said, you get a better product if you can go right to the garden, clip some out, or cut some out, and bring it right into the kitchen and start cooking with it. It's just a better deal. Eating the plant while it's absolutely alive, in a sense. You want to get it as fresh as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm. And so, do you just grow for yourself, or do you grow for some people around you? Do you participate in farmers markets? And
the only thing I do right now is that I grow for friends and family, and sometimes they'll make certain requests of things they want in their garden for that year, and I'll see if I can get that product and get that started growing and make sure that they have it so that they can also eat healthy as well. Because I always grow more than what I actually need for myself.
Well, you have a unique garden, I'm going to say, because you don't garden on 5 acres or 10 acres out in the country. You actually have a lot in town. Is that not correct?
Yes. I have a lot, and what I do is let's start from the beginning. When I first bought the house, and I remember looking at the back of the property, the front of the property, and the thing I was mainly interested in was how much growing space there was there. And I remember the real estate agent saying to me, when I said to him, I said, I'll take this house. And he said, don't you want to see the inside of the house first? I said, oh, yeah, okay. let's go take a look at the inside. But I knew when I saw the property, the potential that it had. And I started learning a great deal about the soil and about what tools I'll need and what things will grow best in my area. And I got started and was having much success. And then I started looking at ways to improve the soil and to improve the soil at cost, and to keep costs down. That was my biggest thing, was to grow healthy plants, but keep costs down. And I started noticing when I would go to the stores, the box stores, I would see everyone's grabbing items, and sometimes you can stand off to the side and you can look at what they're actually spending just to grow flowers and to grow vegetables, and it's pretty high. It's pretty high in cost. So I said, there's got to be a way to lower that cost. And so I started doing it nature's a way of gardening, and I saved quite a bit of money. It kept my soil healthy.
So if you wouldn't mind, can you share, not your street address, but can you share your general location, area, or growing zone that you're in?
Okay, I'm in zone 7B, and I'm in Baltimore. Yes, Baltimore City. And I almost forgot where I live for a second. But yeah, Baltimore City, and I'm probably the only gardener in my location for at least, I would say about a mile, because I've checked throughout my community, and it's just, people just, they don't understand gardening, and I want to help change that. So, it's a little intimidating for some people.
Well, we have one person here asking you what are your thoughts for the best herbs for a beginner?
The easiest one to grow, I've found for me, has been basil. It's been sweet basil. I mean, you put the seeds in, you get the temperature right of the soil, which is, for me, is around 65, 70 degrees, and they grow beautiful. No problem at all. You can start them indoors, or you could wait until the weather changes and start them outside, but they grow relatively well.
Yeah, we have a couple folks from Maryland here, from Baltimore area.
All right.
Yep. Yeah, Half Acre Dreams. Yeah, if we were the neighbors, yeah, they say I bet your neighbors come over to borrow vegetables.
Yeah.
They will this year with I think produce is going to be starting to get very thin at the grocery stores and markets. So,
well,
yeah.
in addition to your garden, you also have a number of fruit trees.
I have a total of 25 fruit trees in a small, I call it a small location because it actually is. So what I did was I got into fruit trees, and I started growing. Once I found out about dwarf fruit trees, I started getting really excited about that, and I said, wait a minute, there's got to be a way to put these trees onto my property and be able to produce different types of fruit. And the first fruit trees I put in were peaches. Because you can do a peach tree on its own. It doesn't require a second tree. But when I start tasting the sweet, juicy peaches, which was a Hell Haven, and I also got one called a Georgia. And I got to tell you, when I bit into the peach, I was absolutely hooked. When I felt the juice run down my arm, I was hooked. And I had to have that again. So it was more like an addiction. And then I started getting into cherry trees and plum trees and apple trees. I have 3 different types of apples, which one of my favorites is Honey Crisp. And I did the Fuji, and I did the Granny Smith.
And you do this all on the city lot?
Absolutely. The trees, can be grown pretty close together if you use high-density planting. You can grow them pretty close, and they'll help keep each other small. Just stretch the trees a little bit, and they'll stay small. My trees will grow anywhere from 10 to 20 feet tall, and I just bring them back down to anywhere from 4 to 6 feet, and 4 feet, and then they'll grow up to about 6, 7 feet, nearing fall. and I just keep them small. It's an easy way to do it. I don't purchase trees from, well, excuse me, in the past I didn't purchase trees from the big box stores because at one time all they had was they had the semi-dwarf, and I didn't want a tree that really would grow really big. I wanted a tree that was set up to stay small, and it was easy to do. The trees take care of themselves pretty much. I fed them grass clippings. I put pieces of wood that I would that would trim from the trees. I put those around the roots of the trees, and that would feed the trees well into winter and the next year. So it was an easy way to feed them and keep costs down.
But all of your soil amendments and stuff like that, you purchase those from a box store, or do you go out in the country, drive to the country and go to a farm or something and pick up some materials to augment your soil, or how do you enhance your soil?
What I used to do is it was a contractor that did landscaping, and he would rake people leaves, and he would bring me sometimes leaves that my tractor couldn't even move. That's how many leaves he would bring in, and we would hook it up to his larger vehicles, and we would move it to the location we needed and drop it. I would say anywhere from 800 to 900 pounds of leaves, and I would let those just turn into a beautiful compost, and I would enrich my soil. As the years went on, he got older and he stopped coming to my location and dropping leaves. So I said, well, what do I do? So I started chop and drop, and I chopped and dropped things like grass and also weeds, and they also help immensely to make my soil incredible. I started seeing large numbers of earthworms everywhere. And I knew something was going right. I knew when I saw the mushrooms. I knew when I saw the earthworms. I knew when I saw all these insects crawling on top of the soil and worms on top of the soil. I said, this soil is going in the right direction. It was not like that when I very first purchased this property 20 years ago. The soil was a clay, which most of us do have clay soil, but it was a brown, I used to call it a nasty clay soil with marbling in it that was like an off gray kind of marbling. And it didn't grow very much. Plants would tend to stay small. It would produce very few, fruit onto the pepper plant. Now I'm happy with my soil. I can say that. And all it takes is feeding the soil. Always giving organic matter to the soil. That is the key. No one should be able to tell you that, no, you can buy this product, you buy that product, you buy this product. No, just keep feeding the soil organic matter. And the soil and the organisms will improve your soil.
Cool. One of our, one of our folks here, Food Forest Permaculture, Howie is from Canada, and he has fruit trees galore. He's asking, what is your favorite veggie and fruit tree to grow?
My favorite fruit tree has got to be my peaches, because they grow on their own. They only need one tree, and all you need to do is just take care of them, make sure they get plenty of sun and plenty of nutrients, and they'll do very well. As far as my favorite vegetable would have to be, it's got to be Cherokee purple tomato. That's my favorite.
Well, being on a city lot, I'm sure that there's some things that you don't grow. You probably don't grow corn.
Yes, I do.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I do. Last year, I had an incredible. Now, here's the only thing that kind of veers me from corn, and it goes like this: corn grows well in the location where I put it in last year, but it tells everyone that you have a garden. Okay, and I practice techniques that helps me hide my garden, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't grow in straight lines or anything like that, so people can look and say, oh, those are peppers and those are okra. I can grow in such a way that if you came onto my property, unless you were a gardener, unless you were skilled to know what these plants look like, you couldn't find some of my plants. But you could find the corn, it tells everyone that there's food growing here. Another one that gives my garden away is the cherry tree. Once those cherries turn red, everyone knows there's food over there. And sometime I'll be on the back of my property, and there's a gentleman that works in a church across from me, and he says, "Listen, how are your pears coming along?" And I said, this guy knows what he's talking about, because he's looking at them and he knows his pears, and he knows that these are apple trees. And I said, "Sir, where are you from?" He said, "North Carolina, and my father was a farmer." That answered my question right there. He knew what he was looking at. So what I did is I handed him over some squash, and I gave him some bell peppers, and I said, "Look, do me a favor. All I want you to do," and I got one little pet peeve. It's just the way I am. I said, "I want you to take these vegetables home, and I want you to cook them today. I don't want them in your refrigerator for 2 or 3 days. But tell me how they taste. Tell me what you thought of them, and that'll help me. That feedback will help me." So anyone that gets vegetables from me, I always ask them to try to cook it that day.
Yeah. Do it when they're fresh.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree with that.
Well, let's expand on that just a little bit. Do you practice canning methods to lengthen the time that you have your vegetables and your raised crops available to you, so you can have those year round?
The only thing that I'm doing right at this moment is freezing. But I'm interested in learning the correct way to can, because I've seen many people using it, and I found a store that's not too far from my location where I could purchase the jars, which is I think that's Walmart. Walmart carries mason jars.
Yep, Walmart carries them. So.
Yep.
So at the present time, though, you're not doing any canning or dehydrating, perhaps fermenting.
Well, if he sticks around with this group very long, he will be.
Yeah, if you hang around the crowd that hangs around us, they'll be more than happy to share that information with you.
That sounds excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course that's what we expand on that. We promote everybody, helping one another. And we got a lot of good people in here tonight. So, how long have you been gardening?
I haven't been gardening that long. I've been gardening about 20 years. And I started out with, God, I remember it was a shovel, and I had a tool, and I still have that tool. It's called it's a hoe. And, and I started pulling the grass back and planting, and it was very successful. And I said, I like this. The plants were growing very well, but then I noticed that, that a year later, they didn't grow so well. And I started getting some information and finding out that you have to replenish what's leaving the garden. You have to replenish. And so I started learning what techniques I can use to replenish nutrients back to my soil. And a lot of them did not cost any money at all, especially the chop and drop. Just a little time.
Yeah, right.
I used to collect my neighbor's grass clippings that did not use any type of chemicals on their grass. I would collect them. I would ask them, "Hey, you cutting your grass? What are you going to do with all these?" And he would say, "Well, I'm going to put them in the trash." I said, "No, I'll take them." And I would take his grass. I would add some to my compost pile. I would also, add some around my trees and that sort of thing. And once I learned that grass is very nutritious to your plants, I couldn't get enough of them. And actually this year I purchased a lawnmower with a bagger so that I could collect my grass clippings and a lot quicker and a lot easier.
Yeah. We have a question for you. The Naked Gardener, Sydney's asking, what are your top 5 tools in the garden?
Well, I don't have that many tools that I use, but my number one tool is the manure fork. That manure fork with the long handle, I love it. I love it because all I do is lift my soil, go back 4 inches, go down to about 8 inches, lift my soil, and I use that just to lift the soil. I don't turn my soil over. I don't do any of that because, and I have some videos on that as well. When I do that, it allows me to loosen the soil up, to allow air into the soil, and it's just a great way of getting the job done. It's a great way of doing it.
Honey, you're going to have to go here. I'm getting the phone set up.
Oh, you're getting the phone set up. Okay. I was just looking for other questions. There's a lot of canners in here. They're all ready to give you some help when you need it.
Oh, that was great.
Oh yeah, yeah. We the first time I canned, I have a glass top stove, and it's like cost a couple $1,000s. It's like 40 inches wide. So we bought a 2-burner camper stove that we put out on the front porch. So first time that I got my pressure canner, we took it on the front porch, and I had the jars in it. We put the lid on, and I stood behind Daryl. He's way standing behind me for. I says, "You're going to put that little doodad on." I says, "Because if it blows, you're insured. I'm not." So after that, I was fine.
All right.
But yeah, we have a room, the smallest bedroom. We converted into a walk-in pantry, so that's where all of our canning jars are. Oh, Copper Kettle, you need help canning.
That sounds great. And it allows you to, now you are able to store this food for how long?
I have some jars in there for 3 years already, and it's still fine. I have mushrooms that I canned, meatballs, spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce,
Well,
and I'm still using it.
And you dehydrate.
And I've dehydrated.
You can
Yep.
dehydrate peppers, and you can grind them up into
A powder.
into a powder that
Yep.
you can use for your
Yeah.
spices.
For some reason, I cannot do pickles, and I love pickles. All my pickles come out mushy. Yeah. So what I do is I just drain them. I'll put them in the dehydrator. I'll end up with pickle powder. You can put it in your potato salad, macaroni salad, egg salad, stuff like that. Let's see. I saw there was a question up here. Oh, Sydney, what is the one crop you have the worst luck with but wish you could grow?
Was that a question for me?
That was for you. I'm sorry.
That's for you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. God, the worst, one that I wish I could grow that I'm having, God, that I have tried time and time again and not, eggplant. For some reason, now what I did this year is I started really early this year, and I was really amazed how they grew, and I have some beautiful looking plants that are growing, and I'm going to try them again this year. I'm using the Black Beauty. And my understanding is they're like a really warm environment, and they are really rich, loamy soil is what they prefer.
Now, see, my eggplant grows like crazy.
Yeah.
I usually grow 3 to 4 different varieties, and I never have a problem.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a problem growing any vegetables.
No, and we do excellent on weeds.
Yeah, weeds. I have a wonderful.
We have bumper crops of weeds every year.
Yep. Vicky T's asking, what's your best past tomato?
My best tomato is just 2 tomatoes. One being the Cherokee Purple and also the Brandywine.
Yeah.
Those are my 2 favorites.
Yeah, Brandywine
Now,
are awesome.
here-
We also have, I like the hillbilly ones, the striped ones.
Okay, and now I found a seed this year. It's called the Purple Brandywine. Now that is a new one that I'm adding to my seed collection this year. So that's exciting.
Okay, and folks, what I've done here is I've opened up the phone lines if anybody would like to call in and ask the morning gardener anything in person or chat about what he's doing. The phone lines are open. The numbers are scrolling across the top of the screen. And feel free. We don't charge you anything to do that.
Well, once we're done with this, and I have to get to the post office anyway this week, I will go on your. Do you have an address on your about page?
I'm not sure, but I can get an address to you.
Okay, because Baker Creek was nice enough to supply us with seeds because they know a lot of times we have questions on Monday nights, trivia questions, and we send the winners Baker Creek seeds. So I'm going to send you some seeds.
Oh, thank you very much.
So, yeah, they send us a nice variety. They are wonderful people.
Yes, very fine company.
Yep.
Now, do you do any container gardening?
No, Sydney, not Cheech and Chong weeds, just the pesky weeds.
Morning Gardener, do you do any container gardening?
Yes, I have. Let me just say this. I did the, which was a little experiment for me. I started early part of the fall some collard greens and kale in some containers that I, repurposed. And I put them out there, and now they're getting so big and pretty, the plants, because the weather's changing a little bit. I could actually start eating collard greens and kale now, and I did some in the, just in the ground, and they're growing beautifully. But the container plants are growing bigger and faster because the temperature of the container warms up a lot quicker than the soil. So the plants are taking advantage of that. So I'm really excited about the fact that I have food right now, and it has not even gotten to the point where most people are even planting right now in Maryland.
Well, and let's touch on something else. I have noticed that one of your hobbies is fishing.
Yes, been doing it for years. My favorite fishing is crappie, freshwater fishing. But my favorite fighting fish is the blue. Because you have to use a little bit of steel leader, and you put a whole fish on. You could put cut bait on, and when they grab the line, you don't have to guess whether or not they have it because they'll take off and they'll take your rod from you if you're not if you set it down, and they'll snatch it, and it's right in the water.
Now, I know that one of the things that you can pick up at the big box stores, and it's a little bit pricey at times to help supplement your plants, is fish emulsion and byproducts of fish. So you just do you incorporate that into your garden, all of your fishing hobby?
Here's what I do. When the season is over, and I'll put these videos up online for a few weeks, and I try to tell people, go and buy some of your gardening supplies in the dead of winter, absolute dead of winter. When you go out into these stores, I have bought fish emulsion for 50 cents a bottle. They normally sell for close to $10 a bottle. And they had them all stacked out, and I go and get container after container after container for 50 cents. I bought fertilizers, organic, that were normally $7, marked down to $2 in the dead of winter. And I love it because no one's shopping for this stuff. When I have to go into the store and get a rolling bed to put these fertilizer bags on, I bought quite a bit. And I'll do that. And because it's such a good deal, it's a steal. And many people have contacted me back and said, I'm glad you told me that. I went out, I got some bags, and thank you for that information. I appreciate it because I just tell you what store to go to. I say go to Home Depot. They're the main ones that do it. And, you can grab a lot of good fertilizers. Dead of winter. Also, the bagged manure, some of those will be going up in cost when they get into spring. But if you get it in the dead of winter, you can get these bags for the normal price they would sell it for. Another thing, if you're buying plants, for instance, if you're buying, let's say, grapevines, if you're buying strawberries, not strawberries, but raspberries, blueberries. If you're buying these plants, the plants are cheaper when the excitement of the, I call it the spring growing season starts. And if you go get them, you can get the $7 plant for $1 a piece. All you have to do is speak with the manager in that department. Don't speak to the worker at the register. You got to speak to a manager. You can get, in the dead of winter, lawn mowers that are normally sold for $300. I got one brand new, never had oil in it, never had gas in it. I got it for $100.
Wow.
And it's got a bagger on it. I think it's a Toro. I want to say Toro. But got that for $100. He shook my hand. He said, I know you. You're the morning gardener. I said, yes, sir. I said, could I use this day, what you and I talked about and how I got this as a deal? Could I use this on my page? And he said, yes, absolutely. Use it. And that helps them to move items. When they see
Sure.
that Home Depot, is more open to moving things instead of holding on to them.
Right. Uh, Grace Andrews, and Grace is from Northern California, wants to know if you do vertical garden. Like,
No, no, I haven't experienced growing plants in that manner. I've tried to use um, the method that I use because I'm so familiar with it, and I love using weeds as fertilizer. I love it because it's like instead of having a negative attitude about weeds, turning them into a partner in the garden, letting them help you grow food is just a better deal for me. I mean, I just find it to be a better deal. And weeds are chock full of nutrients for your plant because their root systems are much more durable and they have deeper roots in most cases than your plants have. And it just really gets your plant to a good start. I just sometimes go around it like a mulch. Sometimes I'll just chop it all down and just lay it on top of the soil and leave it, and let Mother Nature do the rest.
yep.
Working smart, not hard.
Vicky T is asking if you have much success in watermelon growing. She said hers flowers, but they don't produce anything.
Well, sometimes we have problems with pollination, with bees, and you sometimes you want to really go out there and hand pollinate them yourself. If you don't see you have a large population of bees in your area, you might want to hand pollinate those. And there are a ton of videos on YouTube that will show you the correct way to hand pollinate, and you want to look into that because that will help you immensely.
The Naked Gardener is asking, what is one crop you're interested in growing for the first time this year?
Um, there is that I'm interested in growing. I pretty much have everything growing that I want to grow. I'm sure I couldn't give you a better answer than that, but yeah, I mean, I have a number of items that I'm growing, but there's one pepper I'm growing that I haven't grown in maybe 15 years, which is a chili pepper, and I'm excited about those because I love the taste of chili peppers.
We have one Samson Farms here. Nathan is in Tennessee, and he is our pepper expert. He grows. The hotter they are, the better he likes them.
Yeah, he likes some heat.
Yeah.
Well, morning gardener, I have to ask. I know that you're in town, and I have the impression. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably grew up as a young man in town. You're not don't have a farming background. Is that correct?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. And the only person that introduced me to gardening was, I would say, my father. Years ago, he was in a really great mood that day, and I remember he was in the kitchen cooking, and he said, come here for a minute. He called all his children to the door, and he handed us these beans. He handed me 3 or 4, and he said to each of us, and he said, go put those in the ground. And he said, they will grow. And I said, okay, well, and me being the person that I was, I said, why are we growing these again? He said, just put them in the ground. And within 3 to 4 days later, they started to appear. I was so excited. And I ran screaming to my dad, Dad, where I put the seeds in, this plant is there. It's this plant. And he said, those are the beans. And I said, well, what do I want to do? He said, well, just make certain that you keep them watered. And he said, and be gentle with them. Don't break them off. Don't damage them. And they will grow more beans. Well, I added more beans to the ground. And they were just those bags of beans that your parents would buy at the store, and you could dry beans, and I would take them and put them in the ground. And when they grew all these beans, and all these vines, well, the vines and then the beans came later, but my father also said, go pick the beans, and we will cook them today. Oh, my goodness. When my father did that, I was hooked. I was hooked. I got a chance to eat what I grew. Mm-hmm. I was hooked. Years later, moved around a few times, and then when I finally bought my own property, the biggest thing that I wrote on my dream list when I was searching for my property was that I must have a backyard. I don't care what it takes, must have a backyard. And when I found this property, it had this huge backyard and a nice sized side yard and a front yard. I said, that's my house. And I called the realtor. And he came and we looked. I said, wait a minute, I want to understand something, sir. All of this is mine? And he said, yes, all of this is yours. I said, you mean all of this? And he said, yes. And so he said, okay, we'll put in the contract today. We'll get things going. I called him on a Sunday, by the way. So he said, do you want to look at the inside of the house? And I said, oh, yeah, that'd be a good idea. So the deal was sealed, and here it is 20 years later.
Well, where I was going with that, have you ever had the desire to investigate some livestock? And when I say livestock, I'm talking maybe a few chickens or quail or, obviously in town you're not going to raise cattle or sheep or things like that, but perhaps some small things like chicken where you get your own eggs and things like that. Has that ever had an interest to you?
Yes, I did some research a few years back, and they said here in Baltimore City you're allowed 5 chickens, but they must be a type of chicken that the eggs would not produce more chicken. I said, what kind of chickens? So I started doing more research, and they said it was you could have these chickens, no more than 5, and your neighbors could never complain to them about smell or anything that would bother or lower the property value that they have. And I said, wow. I said, but the problem with me is in growing chickens is that I could never kill them to eat. That would I have to let my lady do that. But the eggs I would eat, but not to eat the chicken as meat. I just can't, I can't do that. I just can't do that to a chicken. I just can't. Because they get to be like pets, I guess, And I don't want to accidentally they become pets and then, have to one day, take that long walk.
Off a short pier.
And he bought a turkey once, and the turkey wound up. After about 5 days, I tried to keep the turkey as a pet because he had the legs tied, and he said feed the bird and water the bird, but don't untie the bird. Well, that lasted about 5 or 6 hours, and I untied the bird, and he tried to fly out the window. He banged around in the room, and then after a period of time, he became like a pet to me until Thanksgiving Day. And my father explained to me that this was not bought as a pet. And I said, wow, what does he mean by that? And I knew what he meant, but I didn't want to accept it.
Okay, so you really don't have any desire, and a lot of people don't. They just they don't want to harvest animals for their meat. They want to buy that all at the store, and I understand that. But I was just kind of curious, and because I thought that. I know there's a lot of big towns where you are allowed to have like 5 chickens, but you could do that. You could get 4 or 5 4 or 5 chickens, and they would produce for you for could be probably 6 years or so before they're too old to no longer produce. Now, in our area, we can't have them. We can't have any chickens where we live. But
Okay.
but yeah, and again, there's a lot of people in here right now that. And I see BC Trucks in here from Texas. He says, I had chickens. The first mistake I was naming them, and the second mistake was petting them. So, but yeah, there's a lot of folks in here that that's just second nature to them. And the plus side from the chickens anyway is their crap and bedding is all great for the garden. So. Anyway, we're just kind of curious if you ever decide that you would be interested in something like that. Just holler out, because there's people in here that could definitely help you with that.
Okay, I appreciate that, because I thought about it, and I also thought about rabbits. And I know that we have a lot of cats in my location. So I said, wow, that wouldn't be good if I had chickens, because there's so many cats in this location. They would get pretty hungry and have to extinguish that urge, and you would come in the morning and see some of your chickens gone.
Well, of course, you would have to protect them. You would have to enclose them in a caged environment that kept cats out. But also in your location, you probably do not have to worry about coyotes and fox and things like that. I don't know your exact location, but I get the idea. You're pretty much in town, and so all the animals are probably pretty well domesticated. There may be some wild rabbits, but
I've seen, since I've been living here, I've seen one rabbit. I've seen a few foxes, raccoons. I've seen a few, maybe half a block from me, I've seen possums. Woke up one morning and there were deer standing in the middle of the street. And I thought that was strange. I said, what? But see, when they tear down their environment, they had to go somewhere, and I understood that. And it was just sad, because they weren't in this area until they started all of this work, tearing down and trees and cutting big holes. And it was just sad, because the animals were in the middle. I mean, daytime, 3 of them, deer, standing, trying to get across the street in busy traffic.
Yep, that's pretty crazy. You're gonna have to rewatch this tomorrow so you can see all the comments in the chat.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people in here saying that they have, and they're just throwing out tons of great information.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to rewatch this tomorrow. We'll get another view that way.
Okay.
So, yeah, folks, he's not watching the chat the way that we're currently set up here right now, and so any questions, please put them in all caps, and we will relay those questions to him. Feel free to call in. The numbers are scrolling across the top of the screen. Doesn't cost you anything to do that, and you can say hello directly to him. Ask him what it's like to live in the middle of a big town and try to have a garden, and keep it from your neighbors so your neighbors don't complain, because he's had that experience.
Yes. I've had that experience, and my situation was a test situation. I remember the judge saying to me, she said, "There's no way this should have gotten this far." She said, "You are growing a natural garden." I said, "Yes, that's what I'm growing, a natural garden." And she went on, sat in her office, and she went online, and she said, "Well, what proof do you have that it's a garden, as opposed to being just a lot of growth in your yard?" And I said, "Well, I brought some pictures of some grapes. I brought some pictures of some corn. I also told her I have a show on YouTube called The Morning Gardener Show." And she said, "What was that again?" She said, "Morning Gardener Show." I said, "Yes, Morning Gardener's Show." And she looked at that. picture and she saw the date that it was. She said, "Oh, this is a garden." She said, "Case closed. That's a garden." The
So,
man's growing his own food.
so it was that simple, and I'm so glad to hear that judge just pretty much shut that down right away like that.
She shut it down, and she said, "What I want you to do is," she said, "I want you to put a sign up that says garden. That's all I want you to do. And put it up so that it will, if anyone were to come in that area, they could say, 'Oh, this is a garden.' But it also tells everyone that it's a garden.
Yeah.
And,
Free
and
vegetables.
the whole, yeah, and the purpose. There's a guy that had a video on. I don't know. I wish I knew the name of his channel, but he's one of those survivalists, and he had these techniques on hiding your garden.
Okay.
So once I went to his channel, I started growing the way he, as far as putting tomatoes in a certain way that they don't grow in a straight line. You put down, put them in a circle. Put what they call it, potatoes instead of a straight line. Put them in a circle. So when they grow, they just look like a patch of weeds, but they're potatoes.
Okay, let me interrupt here. We have a phone call.
All right.
Hello, this is Daryl. Who's calling, please?
Oh, it's just me. Nobody important, Nathan.
Oh,
It's our troll.
we have Samson Farms on the phone here. So, go ahead, Nathan.
Hey, I was listening earlier and you talking about chickens and how big cities have them regulated and things of that nature. But there's one little area that they don't really have regulated that would fulfill his potential needs on meat and eggs if he wanted to. They don't tend to regulate quail.
Oh, that's interesting to know. Thank you for that. We have wild quail that are in our area sometimes, just flying about, and I'm thinking it looks like a pigeon, but it's not a pigeon. It looks like an expensive pigeon to me.
Well,
You could house and hutch and put them in a hutch like rabbits, but you can put like
Okay.
3 of them to a square foot area, and not only do you get meat, eggs, but you also get the manure that you can compost and put on your garden as well.
Thank you for that. Thank you. That sounds great. Thank you.
And if you were to invest in an incubator, you could hatch out your own, and you'd have a never-ending supply of meat every 10 weeks. You could process them.
Beautiful.
Freezer camp.
I appreciate that, sir.
okay, and we have another caller, so let me get them. Let me get them on the horn here. Hello, this is Daryl. Who's calling, please?
Hello, it is me, Rajim
Okay,
Ahmed.
and we have.
You're going to have to explain because he's never been on, so you're going to have to explain.
Okay,
Our caller.
our caller here is Ahmed.
Hello. I
Yeah.
want to learn how to hide my garden in Baghdad in the other sand.
You say you hide your garden in Baghdad?
He needs to learn how to hide his garden in all
He
the
needs to
sand.
learn how to hide
Yeah.
his garden.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I used to put it up on the buildings on the top of the roof, but then they go boom and no more.
Morning, Gardener.
Yes, sir.
Just go with this.
Okay, I'm having trouble understanding the question.
Well, we have that problem from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah, Sydney, I
But-
was wondering the same thing.
But in all seriousness, the other party on the line here is another long time YouTuber that has a very educational channel, and it's called Big Bear Homestead, and he's out of Georgia. So, and they are on a mission this year that their family is
It's
Eating.
miserably.
Yeah, that with what's going on, It's
Thank you.
what just kind of also what just left too, but
But they are doing their best to supply themselves 100% from their land this year. They have a lot of gardens. They have animals. They have cattle. They have pigs. They have
children.
children and chickens, and
but we only eat the children when most necessary, and we wipe butts with goats.
Don't forget the baby goats. Don't forget the baby goats.
Yep. Everybody go get TP. We don't need TP. We got baby goats.
I thought you used sheep.
Oh no.
no
Oh,
baby
no.
goats, but he's got to point them the right direction so the
That's
horns
right.
don't.
That's right. We discussed that.
Because if you wipe the wrong way with a baby goat, you got a shish kebab.
Oh,
Yeah, you got a bad
Grandma's
day.
garden. You really didn't know that's who Ahmed is? Yes.
And you let it out of the bag.
I didn't. You're still in the bag.
We could have done this for years.
Yeah, exactly, Vicky.
Well, I didn't want Morning Gardener to think that he was being invaded here or something.
Yes, and they also have.
So I literally just came in the chat because I got done doing my schoolwork because I put it off. You know me, I put everything off for the last minute.
No.
And because it was such a beautiful day outside today that I just couldn't. I tried. I'm not even gonna lie. I tried to sit in here like twice to get my schoolwork done so I could be at the Stivers live stream and y'all's live stream earlier tonight, but I couldn't do it. It was such a beautiful, beautiful day, and I had to be outside in it. So we planted some blueberries, more blueberry bushes today, and we mulched them all with some wood chips, and we played Tetris with Robin's raised beds in the front yard. We're trying to cut the grass around them. It was quite interesting. Again, I just want to wood chip the entire front yard, but
No, I gotta have my grass. I want to see the green because the green makes the colors of my raised beds pop. So I gotta have the green.
so
Okay, and
So
again,
that's-
just to explain to share with you, Morning Gardener, Big Bear Homestead has got their entire front yard done with raised bed gardens that are very, very bright. I'm going to say Easter colors. Bright green, bright yellow, bright pink, bright blue.
Mm-hmm.
And they pop.
They pop. It's just awesome. Yeah.
So,
You said something about planting some blueberries, and I was wondering what method is he using to acidify the soil.
what was his question? I got I guess Nathan must have farted or something. It sounded like a duck quacking right when he was in the middle of his question.
okay, he's asking you what method you use to acidify the soil for the blueberries.
We use pine needles.
Okay,
We'll mulch. We'll put a layer of pine needles down, and then put your wood chips on top.
Yeah, that's a good method. My location, I use peat moss, and because we don't have the ability to get a hold of the pine needles here, so I use the peat moss. But it's pretty cost effective. You get quite a bit of it. I use a number of different things, and I always go into the store if I find a bag. And remember this: some people, when they go in the store, they buy bags of garden supplies. I always look for a bag that's busted and that's taped up. And then I go get the manager. I'll take that $11 bag down to about $3, and I'm all set. Also, I do the same with perlite, which is usually around $17 a bag for the larger bags. And I get that for a big markdown if the bag is busted and they tape it up. And not much is spilled out, and I said, okay, I'll take this bag and I'll get with the manager and we'll come up with a price. And if I'm happy with it, then they'll say. But they usually look out for me because they've seen me in the store many times. And they know, okay, this is a guy that is here in the garden supply section, even in the dead of winter. So let's make sure he's happy.
Okay, and another thing that some people in the chat here are adding, they're saying coffee grounds, of course, are very good for in the garden.
I
Yes,
use
yes,
it.
it is. The coffee
Yep.
grounds, the stores will give them to you free, so that's organic material that's just definitely a plus.
Yeah, and the only problem I got is Robin keeps the coffee grounds for her soap, so the coffee grounds are kind of off limits for me. But coffee grounds they're also great for roses.
Yeah, that's why I use mine under. Exactly. Roses and banana peels are good for roses.
Excellent. We have a 7-Eleven store near my job that what they do every night or every other night, excuse me, they change out the bananas. And I wanted to ask him sometime, what are you going to do with those? And he said they go to the trash. So I think that's a waste of a resource as well. So I guess I'll start asking for him because he'll give them to you.
Yep. And believe it or not, so will, or at least they used to. We used to get coffee grounds by the 30-gallon trash bag full. There was one particular girl that was always working at the Starbucks, and anytime that she was working, she would send Robin a text, and we could go over there, pick it up. We'd get like 2 or 3 trash bags full of coffee grounds.
Now, see,
That is excellent. That is that is a resource that you definitely want to keep tight. That's a plus.
Yeah. You know, and it really depends on who you talk to in Starbucks or even at your local grocery stores. If you can get a hold of the produce guy, some produce guys are stupid sticklers for the rules and they won't do it. But we've had a couple that when we lived in Augusta, we would tell them, look, we're going to either turn it into compost or feed it to our pigs, and he would be like, well. All I can tell you is that I'm not allowed to give it to you, and that I take all my trash out at $4.50.
yeah,
And so it got to the point where he was leaving. He had all of his trash separated, where all the paper and stuff he had in one bag that he threw in the dumpster, but all the produce that was going bad or he just had to get rid of, he threw in another trash bag, and he wouldn't even throw that in the dumpster. He just laid it to the side for us. So if you get out there and you start making these type of relationships, these are great resources to be able to tap into, to be able to build up your compost or be able to amend your soil. I mean, they're out there. You just got to find them. You're going to go through a lot of no's before you finally find that diamond in the rough, that person that's going to say yes, But I mean, for most of us, especially like Brett from Broussard Homestead, how many times did he have to ask Amy out before she actually said yes? So
I don't know that he's ever shared that information with us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
think I overheard Amy that she just finally said, I just said yes for the meal, and then she ended up figuring out that he was a halfway decent guy and fell in love with him. So that's what
there was a tree company that
I could be making it completely up, or it could be factual. You decide.
And I can just picture her face right now. It's got to be beet red.
No, she's probably Marcoing Robin saying, "Go out there and punch him in the throat." So, very nice to meet you, sir. To be honest with you, I had no idea you even existed until I saw the thing where you were going to be on here tonight, and I was really hoping to catch the whole thing, but I will catch it on the replay. And
busted, Jason.
Huh?
Busted.
Why, did Robin come in there?
No, Amy and Brett.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some good people. So I'm going to be checking out your channel, sir. And
It's been a pleasure meeting you, talking with you. I just think that it's great that they have this vehicle where we can all meet up and share this information. And I am definitely going to keep in touch.
Good.
where are you located at?
Baltimore City, Zone 7B.
Maryland.
Yes.
Uh-oh, see, I just got a text message. I think Robin's going to tell me I need to get off the phone or stop lying or something like that.
Stop picking on Amy.
That's right, Nathan. Jason's only scared of
Nope,
Robin.
I can't see that on live.
There's a question here, and I'll open this up to all three of you that are in here. Best vegetables for growing the most food produced.
I would have to
Say that again?
The best vegetable for growing most food produced.
What's the best producing vegetable plant?
There you go.
Yeah, that would for my situation would definitely be zucchini and yellow squash.
Mm-hmm.
I get so much of
Those are
that.
good.
It's like I know I've given out bags and bags of that stuff some years. So it's been
Well,
it's always been
technically, those are fruits because they produce their own seed.
They have seeds.
Those are-
Yep.
well, thank you.
That's the problem when you homeschool your kids. They want to throw that at me the whole time. And technically, Father, the squash is a fruit, and I'm like, shut up, it's a vegetable.
Well, also beans. Beans are very productive.
Beans are productive. You know, potatoes are actually somewhat productive too per plant. Okra is mad crazy. If you keep going out there and harvesting and cutting them off, they'll keep going.
Absolutely.
Peppers are the same way. If you keep cutting them, taking the fruit off, they'll keep producing.
Right.
Because if you allow peppers to stay on the plant, it'll slow down producing more. Because they're not. I mean, you have to remove them in order to get it to produce more.
Now some,
Yep.
and I want to bring this up because most everybody in the chat here tonight kind of familiar with this, but it's been a few years ago. The Morning Gardener did put out some videos on a unique watering system for him using rainwater, I believe, in buckets, in 55-gallon drums that you have as an alternate watering method. You want to share any of that?
Absolutely. What happened was here in Baltimore, Baltimore, Maryland, as well as Baltimore City, the water prices, they said, are going to go through the roof. And I said, wait a minute, that's going to increase my overall cost of raising my garden. So I said, I'm not going to have that happen. So I started researching everything I could find online. And then I started running into people that started talking about rain barrels. And when I got excited about that, I saw that people were using different methods, but they were tying them into the gutter system. And I found a kit that ties in. You don't have to cut all your pipe away and cut up your drums and all that. All you do is just simply tie it in. You make one hole in your barrel. That's it. It's and then you do what they call a manifold system. You tie it in with a couple of 3/4 inch PVC. Use a ball. I like the ball valves because they last longer and they operate better for me. And when I did that, I said, I'm able to take 100 gallons of water. I was going to do a 200-gallon system, but I found that the 100 gallons of water actually works for me. I don't have to have 200 gallons. In time, I use what I need. I still got a half a drum or a quarter of a drum. It starts raining again. And in about a half an hour, 45 minutes, the drums are back full again. So I've never, since I want to say about 6 or 7 years now, I've been using the rain barrel system. I have not used a drop of water from my utilities or from my city municipal I have not used any of that. I've used only the water from the drums. And I believe that water from the drums are just better for your plants without a lot of chemicals in the water. It's just better for your plant. Plus, you kill the biology in the soil when you use water that is designed to, reduce the number of life in the soil. It's designed to do that. So I said, no, I don't want to do that. I want the life to stay in my soil, so I use rainwater only.
Now, do you hook that obviously that's hooked up on a gravity fed system? Now, do you use micro irrigation with it, or is it just straight like PVC with like a little soaker hose?
It's a 100-foot hose connected into the PVC, and it took me a little time to go from the 3/4 fitting to the hose fitting, but I did find it online, and I think it was like something like $1.50 or something. So they mailed it out to me. I screwed it in, and it's just been a beautiful thing. Now the motor that I like for it is called a Sure Flow, 100 psi, and a 100-foot hose. I could wash my car with it. I could do the garden. You could also, if it get really touch and go, you can hook a filter system up to that same system, and you can drink that water. So I mean,
I run mine. I have mine raised up, and I cut the gutter off, and I've got one of those big clear tanks. I forget what it's called, but it's got like the metal frame around it.
I know which one you're talking about.
I got then down at the bottom where it has the ball valve. I have it going into 3/4 inch PVC, and then it comes in, and then I connect it to the micro irrigation system because I can get the 3/4 inch reducer down to your regular basic garden hose size, and then I can put I take the pressure reducer off because with it being gravity fed, there's no reason for that. And then I can hook a timer up to it to tell it exactly when to basically open and close the valves. Yeah, the IBC tote. And then I have bubblers that go to all of Robin's stuff in her boxes in the front yard. And none of us have to stress about whether or not we watered the front garden because we set that puppy up to go at about 2:00 in the morning. And then it's just bubblers, so it doesn't need a lot of pressure. And you put the bubbler at the base of each tomato plant or squash plant or whatever she's got going on in there, or beans and stuff like that. Now, if she's running a bunch of radishes or something like that in there, then you can also they have a mini. It's only like a 1/4 inch line, but it has a bunch of holes in it, kind of like a soaker hose, and you can just wrap that in and around that particular bed and whammo. It's the same concept. You're not getting any water on any of the leaves or anything like that could cause fungus. Plus, with it being rainwater, you're exactly right. When you're on city water, they're putting all that chlorine and stuff in there to kill bacteria, this and that. And what we always tell everybody is you want to have a party in your soil. You want all these different bacterias and fungus and stuff in there. That's why leaf mold is so important, and because you want that party down there. You want them all carrying on because soil is alive; it's a living thing, and so you want to keep that alive. And so with the bubblers in there, I like to use the micro irrigation because it's a simple. You got one solid black hose that's about 1/2 inch, maybe, and then it drops down to 1/4 inch lines that you can take straight to the plant and put a bubbler on it. And then you get a good deep soak when you water that way. And I don't have to run any power. I don't have to, because it's double full for me. I don't have to run any power to pull any water out of my well. And I don't have to run any power to provide any pressure to be able to water these plants, whether I'm running it, from an old-fashioned garden hose or whatever. If you've got the ability to do that, I would look into that because it's a lifesaver. It's 2 AA. Now, the whole system itself, now I'll be honest with you, it's expensive. But then it only costs you a couple of AA batteries to make sure the timers going. And once you got that set, then you can it gives you a little bit more time, hands-free time, to be able to focus on weed control, mulching, whatever, because we only got so much time in a day, especially somebody like us, and we got a lot going on the homestead. That frees up 30 to 45 minutes of somebody's time of trying to water all those raised beds.
I got you. It sounds like you have a system that works for you, and that's very important. Because when you said that you have an automatic timer, so now if it rains that day, your timer will still come on?
Mm-hmm. Unless I go out there and turn it off. I can manually turn it off.
Okay, I got you.
Because it has like a pause for the day or something, or a rain day or something like that. They got it labeled on there. I'd have to go look at it. But it's labeled on there that you can go out there and you can mash it. And because in the South we mash things, by the way. And you can go out there and mash it, and then it'll skip a cycle because you got rain that day.
Okay. Because now, if I added anything to the system you have, it'd be nice if there was a sensor you could put in the ground that would gauge whether or not this ground is moist. And if it's moist, it's not going to come on. And when
I would love for that, the ability for that, but I don't know of any system out there yet that has that. That would be an awesome asset to have with it. But also down here in the South, man, we get stupid hot, stupid fast. Things dry out fast. Even with a good 3 to 8 inch layer of mulch, we still get dry kind of fast, because sometimes we're pushing a heat index of 113 sometimes, and so stuff dries out kind of fast. So I don't know if it would really, at least in my situation, if it would really do anything. But now this year's a wet year. I mean, we're supposed to be getting rain again tomorrow. And my cows already got water wings on them. We've been getting so much rain. So things may start to change, and that may change, because I'm confident enough to say that we may not see it this year, but maybe next year, and depending on how long this thing goes on, because I don't want to say it so that way Daryl doesn't get in trouble with YouTube, but as long as this thing goes on, they've already admitted that pollution and the greenhouse gases are starting to fall rapidly, because there's not as many planes in the air, there's not as many cars on the road, and cruise ships in the sea, and 18-wheelers and all that kind of stuff on the road. It doesn't have anything to do with cow farts. And so the emissions and stuff are coming down. And so that, having all the pollution and everything gone, that's going to change our climate a little bit. It may not be drastic, but, we may start to see less droughts, or a less time frame for the drought, because one year we went like 3 months without any rain. And that was a rough year.
You make a very good point. Very good point. You make a very good point.
So I'm very interested to see what it does. I was in a Marco Polo. I'm in a Marco Polo group with Mama Sherry over there, and I got kind of excited. I was excited this morning. I woke up, and I don't mean to be taking over your show here or anything, but you can relate to me with this. I woke up excited this morning, just being in the position that we're in right now, because folks like yourself and us and a lot of folks in this chat, I mean, this is I don't want to sound egotistical, but this is like our time to shine. This is our time where everybody that was picking on us and telling us that we were crazy because we were growing a garden and stuff, now all of a sudden they're knocking on the door talking about, hey man, you got any of them mater seeds? No. But anyway, this is kind of like this is an exciting time for us. And this is the time for us to really start taking a lot of notes also, just to see how you should be taking notes. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Morning Gardener, but people should be taking notes every year they garden, especially when it comes to the weather and how wet it was, how dry it is. I mean, do you do that?
Yes, I follow the weather patterns religiously, and I also I try to. Now you mentioned something about having the tools, the knowledge base to be able to help people eat better and and stay healthy. But I remember when you brought that up, you took me back when I first started gardening, and people said to me, "Stop being cheap and just go to the grocery store." And I said, "No, I enjoy gardening, so I want to learn how to do this so that I can become somewhat self-sufficient and not depend solely on another individual to supply my food." I saw a video once where it showed, and I can't call exactly where the country was, but they showed that they said the government allowed the farmers to grow the produce using garbage from a dump. Not I think it's called a landfill. From a landfill. When they went to the woman's property to do their reporting, they showed batteries on the ground that were opened up. They rusted apart. They showed cups and bottles and plastic bags. And this truck came there and just dumped all this trash on her property. And she, moved it around and it became her fertilizer. Another woman was using a pump that was down in a sewer. And she was pumping up that water onto her land for fertilizer. I said, "Oh my God, how much of that food is being grown that is being shipped all over that people are getting a hold of?"
And that's why we have the E. coli recalls, the salmonella recalls with the food. What got you in? What was your major switch that made you go in? I know you guys probably covered this already, and if you did, Daryl, just tell me to shut up. But what got you into it? What made you stop for a second and go, you know what? I don't think I want to buy this tomato at the grocery store. I think I want to grow my own.
Now are you asking me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I went into a store and I was talking on the cell phone, just running around on the cell phone, getting ready to go to work. I laid 3 apples up on the conveyor belt, and the lady said, "That'll be $3.15." And I said, "Oh no, I just got the 3 apples." She said, "Yes, for the 3 apples, it's $3.15." I said, "For 3 apples?" And I purchased them anyway. And I drove down the street and I said, "I can't believe I paid $3 for 3 apples." And at that point, I knew I had to have some control over getting my own apples. And when I started doing research and I saw these ads, something said, it said dwarf fruit trees, $9.95 each, plus shipping. And I made my mistake at that time. I ordered these trees from a company that's no longer around anywhere. It was called Summerstone Nursery. They're no longer around. And they sent me numbers of trees I kept ordering from them. They would get the order wrong, or they would send you just a dried up stick in the mail. And you would get that. And one day I had a person call me that was, he handles cases involving large numbers of people getting ripped off. And he called me up and he said, "Listen, I just saw your video and you're showing these dried sticks." He said, "Could I use that video in our court case?" And I said, "Absolutely." He said, "Well, I'm going to send something over for you to sign, giving us permission to do that." And I said, "Well, you don't have to, but if you feel the need," I said, "Go ahead." But he said when his group of people worked in his office saw that video, he said that's the video we want to use because it shows him laying the sticks out. They're dead. I told him that. I said, "My lady thought I was crazy to keep on ordering these trees." And so that's when I found Stock Brothers, and I started ordering trees from them, and I've been happy ever since.
Awesome.
I hope it answered your question. I hope it did.
Yeah, it did. I kind of went through the same kind of thing with a company. It was this guy. He was it was during the whole prepper movement thing because we come from kind of like a preparedness background, and so we're trying to get a seed bank. And I said, well, I'm going to plant these seeds first to see if they will germinate. And because I have a degree in horticulture, and so I couldn't get a single one of them to germinate. So I wrote the guy and I said, hey, I don't know if, like some old seeds got mixed up into my mix or whatever. I said, but couldn't get any of them to germinate. And he said, don't blame your bad gardening skills on or don't blame my seeds for you not knowing how to garden. And I said, oh, we were going to be one of those type of guys. And so I only spent like, I don't know, $100 with him. But I kind of just, and it was before YouTube and all of that. So I shared about it on Facebook and stuff like that, but that was about it. But then I found Baker Creek and everything's right with the world once again. But yeah, I always wonder what gets people to start doing this lifestyle, because this is not an easy lifestyle. Gardening's not easy. And homesteading's not easy when you stop to think about it. It's full of blood, sweat, tears, and heartbreak. I mean, it's heartbreaking when you take the time and you get those seeds started and they're doing great inside, and it's time to put them out and you harden them off correctly and you get them out there and you get them mulched and you start to see all of this great fruit starting to grow on them, and then a hailstorm comes and just beats the snot out of your garden, and you got nothing left. And it's nothing that you did. It's stuff that's out of your control, and it's sometimes I wonder if gardeners and homesteaders, if we're just not gamblers that are too scared to play cards. Because everything that we do has a relatively a gamble to it, because we can still do everything correctly, and then a hailstorm comes or a tornado comes, or all of a sudden a lightning strike happens and splits a tree on your property, and it crashes down on your fences and spooks your cattle, and they take off, and one of them gets hit by an 18-wheeler. Things that you can't control. But these are variables that still happen. So I'm always curious on what was the final straw to get you into doing this and then sticking with it. So now that we know what got you into it, what made you stick with it this long?
Because I got tired of hearing people say, on the news, this man died due to he ate some fruit at a all-you-can-eat, and there was some kind of salmonella in it. I said, wait a minute, what is going on here? Then I would hear the stories of people that would put this manure on these crops, and it was raw, and it wasn't processed properly, and that would cause some problems. And I said, I got it. A lot of these farmers are headed in the direction of just a dollar, and they're not concerned about your health. So I said, why do I have to? Why can't I have some control of what I eat? How much can I actually grow on my property? What things will grow in my environment? And when I started asking those questions, I said, there's so much I can do. There was Department of Agriculture here in Maryland. It was absolutely a beautiful thing, because they had the information there. They talked about soil. I was able to get information I couldn't get out of some books that somebody wrote that might have lived thousands of miles away from me. They were information that was from gardeners right here in Maryland. Like, for instance, the best corn that grows well here in Maryland, which is silver. What apples grow best here? What fruit grows best here? What vegetables grow best here? And it was all there.
Nice. With your Department of Agriculture, Do they offer tree sales?
I haven't seen anything on there about that. Only thing they offer primarily is information about where to get certain products and what things you should do to your soil and that sort of thing. They don't have too much selling going on there.
I think it's either our forestry commission down here or our Department of Ag. I can't remember. Robin stumbled on it one time. But you can go and you can get saplings like just crazy cheap. But you got the minimum order of like 50 cents a piece for pecan trees, but you got to get like 25 of them. You know, because she was thinking about that. That's how we were going to get our a lot of our nut trees on our property, and I'm okay with putting 25 pecan trees on this property because they serve multiple purposes. You know, but I was just wondering if that was just a Georgia thing, or if up there in Maryland they did stuff like that as well. Because it was either the Department of Ag or the Department of Forestry.
Mm-hmm. We have some farmers here that when I went online, I started looking up these farmers in Maryland, and some of them do an excellent job. When you come to the inner city, which is my location, they started doing a little bit more with what they call these plots where the neighbors all farm there, and you either pay for or you rent a plot.
Like a community garden.
Yes, thank you. It escaped me for a moment. The community gardens were popping up, and I said, wait a minute, but then I'll see them go under. And I remember stopping in on one of the community gardens, and I just wanted to offer some information, and they seemed to be very standoffish, and I was like, okay, they don't know you, they don't know what you're talking about, but let's explain it to them. And I looked at what they were doing. I said, Miss, the soil you have here you're growing in is clay. And I said, what amendments are you going to use to help improve this overall soil? And they were saying, I'm just going to plant the seeds in it. I said, this soil is pretty hard. I said, someone should have come here in the fall, early part of the fall, amended the soil and allow it to go all the way through to spring again, and you would have saw that the soil would have been greatly improved. They have fruit trees that they buried all the way up past all the way up on the trunk. And I thought to myself, why would somebody bury a tree that deep? I said, Miss, this tree's going to die unless you take it out of the ground and put it back in the ground correctly. She said, it's good. 6 months later, the tree was dead. And I drove by and looked, and I saw that particular garden disappeared because the gardeners lost interest because it wasn't producing. And I said, if I could have got in there and helped them, but they seemed to be very standoffish, so it was nothing I could do. But I wanted so badly to help them, in which I could have said, look, when the fall hits, I want you to collect leaves. I want you to get as many leaves as you can. I want you to collect these grass clippings that when you mow this lawn out here, collect that. Use this to fertilize this soil, to improve this soil. And you would be saving money. You would be improving this overall soil. Because the key to it is soil.
Yeah. Do you have a passion for that?
What's
like
that
going in and help, like going into the inner city and starting community gardens and stuff like that?
I would love to do that because I remember I got with some church groups and they said they wanted to do a large piece of property on the back of their church, and we would like to use your expertise. And I said, okay, fine. Get in touch with me. Here's my phone number. Here's my card. Here's everything. Mm-hmm. Never heard from them. And that was kind of disappointing to me because I said, my God, but they wanted to raise food so that they could help feed people that are in that community and also in that church. And I was absolutely game for that.
Well, I would like to get, and if Daryl has it, maybe he can give it to me if it's all right with you. I want to get your information. I have some really close personal friends of ours. In fact, they're my children's godparents, at least one set of them. They started a nonprofit. They're Icebox. They call it Icebox. Well, their homestead is called Icebox Farms, and they're called Icebox Ministries. And they went in to a low-income ghetto neighborhood in Augusta, Georgia, and they were able to get the grants and stuff to basically buy one of the houses that was there, but unknowing to them, to their surprise, they bought an old florist that had a greenhouse in it. And so they were able to get another grant to be able to rebuild the greenhouse, but that's beside the point. They went into this neighborhood and they kind of gutted the house and they took out a lot of the interior walls and made, what happened?
I don't know. It was on the floor, so I picked it up.
Okay. Sorry. Anyway, my daughter was picking up glass and trying to figure out where it came from. Do we know where it came from?
That's what I'm trying to look for.
Oh, I bet it came off of that Semper Fi thing that thing right there. I bet it's where it came from.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Sorry about that, man. But anyway, they went into this neighborhood and they gutted the house and turned it into like a big, huge kitchen classroom thing. And they cleaned up the front yard and started putting raised beds in there. And then they started opening up classes in the neighborhood. And they went around and they started teaching people about gardening, how to can, how to preserve, how to put the food up. And they went through all of this and they stayed with them for a year. They didn't live in that house, but they came there every weekend for a year, held classes, went around to each house in the neighborhood, and they built raised beds, helped them get the right soil. I mean, they got a lot of connections. Walmart got involved and gave every family in that neighborhood a crock pot, which was completely, utterly surprising. I can hook you up with Baker Creek, so they'll probably want to get on involved with that if you want to do this and get you all the seeds and stuff that you need. But they did this, and then the neighborhood came together. They started to see a major drop in crime in that neighborhood. They started to see a rise in the GPA and in the grade point average of all the children that were in school in that neighborhood. They started to see that the neighborhood started to blossom. People started taking care of their homes again. The average person that was on depression medication started to be able to get weaned off of depression medication, and it completely changed this neighborhood. That to this day, that neighborhood is still down there thriving. And it's one of the better neighborhoods now down on that side of Augusta. They increased their property value because of this. They watched, it's a straight hardcore community now that you don't belong in that neighborhood. They're going to welcome you with open arms, but they got a great neighborhood watch program now. And they started getting together they started doing crop rotation. And this person started growing squash one year for the whole neighborhood. This person was growing tomatoes. This person was growing beans. And then they would go back to that house that Tasha and Steve bought, and then they would all get together and can everything and then divide it up. So I can get you hooked up with that program if that's something that you really want to do. That matter of fact, they are in Scotland right now doing it over there. But I'm sure they would love to mail you basically I call it a curriculum, but it's a kind of a step-by-step on how to get different churches and stuff involved to really get it going. And Baltimore would be a great place to get this thing up and going. I tried it around here in our spot, but every single church turned us down, and that's because of what I like to call the rock mafia around here, because we live in the granite capital of the world. And if it doesn't have anything to do with granite, they shut it down, especially if it could improve the value of people's homes and stuff, because they want to kind of keep taxes all at the same spot. But I'm pretty sure you're not going to run into something that crazy up there where you are. I can get you hooked up with them.
I'd like to once you I'll give you my email address, and then that way we could talk, or you could have those people contact me, and it will be great. Sounds like a winner.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that.
I was amazed. Because I volunteered and I went down there and then I predator-proofed the house, and so I was amazed at when we started seeing the statistics come back in about with the children and then the crime, and I mean it was pretty good. It made national news. Like I guess 3 or 4 years ago, it made it all the way on the national news. It was really. I mean, it was a blessing to see God working in that way, God working through food. There is a major connection between God and food. Think about how many times food is mentioned in the Bible, whether it's Old Testament or New Testament.
Yes. And so I would love to just help people because when I look and I work at a job where we get the kids when they're at their worst, when they have been just somebody just had them, and that was it. And I see what happens when someone gets involved and helps that child turn around. I also saw that. I mean, I saw the kids be more respectful and have a more open mind to want to learn, as opposed to being completely angry at their situation. And they know that when they get around the right people and the right environment, that there is a way out of being in an impoverished state.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're 100 hashtag truth right there. But yeah, do you guys have any rooftop? I'm going to ask this one last question because I know Dale's probably ready to have a show back. But do you guys have any rooftop gardens up there in Baltimore?
There's one. I have never seen one here, but Food Forest Permaculture mentioned it to me one day because we were talking about ways to you could hide a garden so people won't come and reap your reward that of your hard work. And he said, well, some people put a garden on their roof. And I said, he's right. You could do containers or you could do like raised beds, but yeah, that is a possibility. Many people are doing it in other cultures. They're using rooftop gardens. So that's always an option.
Yeah, Greenville, South Carolina has kind of really, that was one of the, when I was going through college the first time, that was a hot topic back then in the horticulture botany world was getting into, because God's not making any more land. And so we're filling up all this land with all of these buildings, and a lot of the buildings have flat roofs that you can turn into a living roof. And so that was kind of one of the hot topics. And Greenville, South Carolina has really done well with it. They've got some that's got hydroponic systems, aquaponic systems up on the roof. There's a restaurant that all of its greens literally come from the garden up on the roof. They have a hydroponic system up on the roof. It's very impressive. I don't know if you get to travel much, but after once the travel ban has lifted, if you ever make it down to Greenville, South Carolina, you want to come down and look at it, let me know. I'll meet you up there because Greenville's about an hour and a half from us. And it's pretty impressive.
It sounds impressive to be able to grow food on your rooftop or in an environment where you have a little bit more control over it.
Mm-hmm. And up there on the roof, you don't have to. And I guess I just can't wrap my brain around why more people are not taking advantage of that, because up there on the roof, you don't have to worry about a rabbit coming in there and getting your vegetables. You don't have to worry about chipmunks coming in there and getting your vegetables. So a lot of your predators, even I would like to see how many insect type predators that you would get on a rooftop up there, especially if you do it in some place like New York or Atlanta, when you got really tall buildings. I wonder if it even registers to some of those insects, because some of those insects don't fly that high because most of their stuff's down low. So the need for any type of commercialized pesticide would be completely out the window. And well, it's completely out the window anyway. I don't know why anybody uses that stuff anyway. But I wonder if you wouldn't have to use as much diatomaceous earth, or you wouldn't have to. I just wonder if it would take a lot of the stressors and variables that we have to face in gardening, and wonder if it just takes them out the window.
I see what you're saying. Now, I've experienced growing vegetables around my plants, because all I do with my weeds is back them off from my attended plant, the plant that I want to grow. But I don't get bugs biting my plants. I don't have holes in leaves and that sort of thing. And it's amazing to me that I can grow corn and it's not touched. I can grow tomatoes and they don't eat it or get into it. They would much rather have the weeds. They would much rather have the weeds. Absolutely, that's all they want to eat is the weeds. Well, and if you grow your plants healthy and feed them properly, care for them, and they're not stressed, bugs don't want those plants. They mostly want plants that are in a situation where they're getting ready to die, and either through lack of food, lack of water, not having the proper soil balance, and they will zero in, or even plants that grow too fast. When you're using materials like Miracle-Gro will make the plants grow out of the norm. And bugs look for soft tissued plants to eat. And if your plants are growing out of the norm, that's the first plants they're going to go and attack. Is plants growing with Miracle-Gro.
They want the weaker ones. It's no different than the lion picking off the gazelle that has the limp.
They are nature's cleanup crew.
Yep. I was gonna say something.
We did have somebody ask, Morning Gardener, if you could share with everybody when you do your live streams.
Okay. Boy, I've been looking for a time frame because I did do it on Thursdays at 10 a.m. and found out I had really no audience at that time. So I said, okay, I'm going to have to pick another time, and then what I will do is I will put up the notice so it'll keep notifying everyone. But I'm thinking somewhere around probably around 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. I'm thinking 8 a.m. on a Wednesday because I keep running into a problem. I'm trying to get the audience together on. I even put one of my streams up and I say, hey, listen, let me know what day works for you that you want to put the stream up, and we'll do that. We'll do it and see if it works. And got very little feedback, and so I said, okay, well, let's just try 10 a.m. But usually around that time on a Thursday, 10 a.m. for now.
Okay.
Well, if you feel like moving it, you can always come this Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and I'll kick it to you.
Sounds like
mine's supposed to end at 9. That would give us a reason to stop talking.
All right.
Well, Jason, a lot of competition at 9 p.m. That's Deep South.
Well, there's competition for us on Mondays.
Well, I never.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, I never see any dip in my numbers when we run off after 9. So I don't know.
Yeah.
If the people that watch me watch Deep South, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm just mentioning for his
right,
sake.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Just like who's before me?
Well, anyway, it's been we hate to keep.
Reap what you sow is before you.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead, Daryl.
Anyway, we hate to keep people on here too long. We've been going here for 1 3/4 hours. It's been an absolutely wonderful stream here, and we have certainly enjoyed it. Morty Gardner, do you have anything you'd like to share with anybody here before we have to shut her down?
Okay, I just want to say real quick, I want to thank everyone for tuning in and sharing this with me. This is the first time out. I want to thank you two for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank you. Also, I'm going to leave my information with you. I think you mentioned some seeds. I can't believe that.
Will do. I'll get them out this
exciting.
week. I'll get them out this week.
Oh, thank you. Also, the gentleman that mentioned, if you could give him my my email address.
Sure, Jason.
Yes, thank you. And but I had a really good time. I just want to say thank you both again for this opportunity. Thank you.
I appreciate it. We've been waiting quite a while.
Yeah, we've had you scheduled for a long time. Our schedule is kind of extended out into the future quite a ways here, but hey, we're gonna work on this. See if we can. I don't know what we're gonna do.
And next week's guest
Oh yeah,
is
next
a
week.
chicken lover.
Yes, next week, April the 6th, folks. You are not going to want to miss this. Somebody calls their channel Chickenlandia. Welcome to Chickenlandia. So if you ever had questions about chickens, next week will be the week you definitely don't want to miss.
I won't be the one calling in next week, but I know who will be.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the chicken fanatic.
Well,
listen to him.
okay.
But it was really nice to meet you, man, and I'll get that information as soon as I get your email address. And Daryl, I'm sorry I kind of took over with asking him a whole bunch of questions. And
You were fine, Jason.
so,
Yeah, you're on the phone there. We're going to go ahead and close it down, Jason. If you want to hang on, you're fine. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Special thank you to all of our moderators. You always do a fabulous job, not only in keeping the stream nice and tidy, but also promoting our guests online here. I do want to mention something that we've just, I don't know, we have become complacent and not talked about it a lot. But you always see it at the beginning of our Monday shows, and that's a product that we do represent here. Is called Thrive Life, and it's freeze-dried products that shelf life 25 to 35 years. Folks, if you were some of those that invested in that stuff before all the craziness that has happened now, you've got that stuff on the shelves. It's fabulous. And well, I know that Jason has had a number of their products. So, if you have any interest at all, check it out. We have a link down below in the description, and it certainly doesn't hurt to go look. There's also business opportunities if you want to pursue it further, where it can actually produce a little bit of income for you. I'm not saying you're going to get rich on it and anything like that. We don't do that, but it's definitely something that hey, it can make you a few extra bucks if you want it to. So, anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Nope. All right. So, everybody, thank you so much for being here. We are going to let you go here next week on the 6th. Welcome to Chickenlandia as our guest, and with that, just remember. I'm getting a shake here. What is it, hon? She's just shaking her head. What is it you can't do?
I know.
Okay, Jason, what is it?
You can't hold your breath and hum at the same time.
Well, that's close.
What was it?
Yeah, if you hold your nose, you can't hum. If you hold your nose.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you hold your nose, you can't hum.
If you hold your nose,
That's
you
it.
can't hum. So, everybody, have a wonderful evening. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.